Hello everyone, thanks for watching my video. My name is Saba and I will be sharing my thoughts about the books that I read. And the first one I want to talk about is Atash Yagmaian's My Name Means Fire. This is the book that I read recently. It was very impressive, at times shocking. This book has been published recently. I think it was last fall. If I would have to take one paragraph from the book to describe what it is about, this would be the perfect one. A lot has been written about the politics of Iran after the revolution, but as far as I know, no one has really written about the cruelty to children that occurred at that time. That would be the perfect description of what this book is about. I come from the same region of the world. Iran is near to my country, which is Georgia. I'm an immigrant from there, and I wouldn't say that our cultures are related, but historically Iran had a big influence on Georgian culture and Georgian politics. Not recently, not in past 2 or 3 centuries, but before that. But I wouldn't say that culturally Iran and Georgia are related too much. You can also, of course, find some traces of the historical relations, but we are very familiar of what's going on in Iran, and especially when it comes to politics and when it comes to the religious politics that they have, theocracy that is in Iran since the revolution. And one of the things that in Georgia, a lot of people always say is that because of the religious conservatives that are very strong in Georgia and they are very restrictive, but in this case it's Orthodox Christians, a lot of times someone would refer to Iran and would say that we don't want to turn this country into Iran and impose some kind of religious restrictions and religious laws to the everyday society, and we want to stay as secular as possible. We are familiar what's going on in Iran, but not too much. As I read, there's a lot of unfamiliar and a lot of stuff that I didn't know about Iran and Iranian culture and everyday life. I will talk about the shocking part in a little bit. I'm not going to do any spoilers in this review. This is memoirs from Atash from very young age, when her father and mother got divorced, and her brother, they had to live in different houses, and there's dynamics between them. It was also described the very traumatic experience, because the grandmother would sometimes, when she would leave to go to the store to get something, she would tie them up, and that was very traumatic for her and her brother, and that later, of course, had an impact on her. This traumatic experience follows her along for all her life, but most of the shocking and traumatic stuff that has been described by her is how much of an abuse she had to face, especially from the people who present themselves as someone who have high morality, who are better than everyone. I don't want to go into the details because I wanted to think that a lot of people should read this because it's very interesting and, as I said, shocking story told by her. But what this shows us, and especially when it comes to, when I'm talking about from the perspective from someone who actually, we don't, as I said, we do not have that much religion infused in our lives back in Georgia, where I'm from, but again, there's sometimes we are on the edge, and a lot of people are talking about all the time that we are about to become as unsecular as Iran. We are about to become as fundamentalist as Iran, but in this case Christian fundamentalism. And what this story tells us, and this is, I would say, that one of many stories, one of many accounts from societies like this, societies who impose their morality on their people, is that people who say that they have this high morality, who are puritanistic and they want the politics to be Puritan or based on like some kind of divinity and that religious morality, in reality, these societies under the curtains are very much corrupt, and they are cruel, They always say that this is for protection for children, this is for protection for people, soul or mentality, but again and again in the societies like this, in the countries like this, we see opposite. And this is the perfect account of that. Of course, we knew what's going on in the streets, right? And there's a moment when Atash describes her encounter when she and her friend encountered with the morality police, and because they were berating them because of a lipstick makeup they had on. One of the women tries to wipe the lipstick off of Atash's friend, and later they discover that her lips are cut because the woman who is supposed to be the high morality personality and someone who is actually enforcing the morality is someone who puts broken glass into the cotton and cuts young woman's lips just because she has a makeup. We know that kind of stuff happens. But what she is describing is actually what happens in a hidden side. It shows us that not just politics, not just everyday life, not just a morality police on the streets of Iran, but everything that is happening behind the closed curtains, in the darkness, in the privacy of the families or relatives, is actually as corrupt as those high moral people say that the world is. Right? Even more. She's confused. She doesn't know what's happening to her because she's very young. She doesn't have any information whatsoever what's happening to her. She doesn't know how to cope. She doesn't know how to seek help when this happens to her. So this is something that actually tells us that in open societies where people are given the education and information, this education and information is actually something that protects them, because then they know how to act or how to identify the abuse and how to seek the help. But in these kind of societies, again and again, and as I said, this is one of the many accounts that comes out from all around the world, from these conservative, closed societies and countries, that this amount of cruelty and abuse towards children and people in general is very common. And the religious or any kind of morality is not the answer. It's hypocrisy, it's a lie, it's a smokescreen, and it actually doesn't protect anybody. As for the book, I would highly recommend you to read this because, again, this is a shocking account. And her writing is amazing, a very good book, and I would highly recommend it for people who need to know not just about Iran, but in general, closed societies, which say that everything needs to be controlled. Everything is about, if you don't control, and if people don't have too much freedom, then everything's going to be great. Nope. And we've seen this again and again and again. It doesn't matter in which part of the world, what kind of religion, what kind of political system. When people are controlled and the system is all about control and all about putting people under the boot, it fails them. We've seen this a lot of times. And this is one of those times you have to read, and you will be shocked about it. I want to thank Atash for writing this book, because this was very informative, shocking, gave me an anxiety a couple of times. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. This is going to help my channel to grow. It's a new channel. I'll be doing a lot more. I'll be doing book reviews, movie reviews sometimes, pop culture event reviews, articles, and we're just going to have a conversation about what's going on and what's being read and published and everything. So thank you very much, and have a great day. Again, please read this book. This book is amazing.